Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with ham and shrimp gravy. Hey, you can call this shrimp and grits if you want, but I'm not going to, and I'll explain why later. But it is inspired by that recipe, and here's how you do it. Alright, so before we start cooking, we got to prep our vegetables, which we call the Holy Trinity: celery, onions, and peppers. I'm using red bell peppers, jalapeno. For onion, I'm using scallions, also known as green onions. And of course, celery. You can also sneak some garlic in here, no problem. So that's a pretty small dice. Once that's done, set it aside, and we're going to head over to the stove in a deep frying pan. You can also use a saucepan or a Dutch oven, something like that. We're going to melt some butter over medium heat. And yes, that is a lot of butter, but that's okay because we're going to add diced ham to it. So I diced up some smoked ham, nice and small. I'm going to cook that in the butter 5 or 6 minutes, and then I'm going to add the vegetables. How do I know when to add the vegetables? I want you to cook it until the ham is too delicious smelling to stand. You're also going to look for just a little bit of browning on the ham, not too much. At that point, we're going to add our vegetables, and we're going to soften those vegetables in that hammy butter for about 5 or 6 minutes. We just want to soften slightly. I'm just going to stay on medium heat the whole way through, basically. So that looks pretty good. At that point, I'm going to dump in my Cajun seasoning. Now, I'd love to tell you this is some exotic blend I brought back from my last trip to New Orleans, but it's not. It's right off the supermarket shelf. Basic name brand Cajun seasoning. All right, dump it in there. Cook it for 1 minute. At that point, I'm going to add some flour to make, pop quiz, what's it called? A roux. That's right, very good. I'm going to stir my flour in, and I'm going to cook that for about 3 minutes. Now, the only way you can screw this up, and it's not easy, by the way, is to burn the roux, which you're not going to because you're only on medium heat, and you're going to keep stirring it, and you're not going to let it, get all black on the bottom. So about 3 minutes later, it looked like that, and I'm on to the next step, which is adding some ice-cold chicken broth. Remember, cold liquid into hot roux, no lumps. So stir in your chicken broth. We're going to raise our heat to medium-high, and we're going to simmer this for about 10 to 15 minutes, okay? By the way, don't skim off the butter from the top. It's not grease, it's butter, and that's going to actually emulsify back into the sauce as it cooks down. And that'll be kind of an important flavor component, so don't skim that off, okay? So like I said, we're going to cook this about 10 to 15 minutes until two things happen. One, the vegetables are going to soften and sweeten. All right, you don't want crunchy vegetables in this. And two, that liquid's going to reduce and thicken into a beautiful, luxurious, amazing gravy, which is what we have right there. Okay? So when it gets to that perfect texture, look at that. It's so perfect. Turn your heat down to medium-low. Add your shrimp. Raw, peeled and deveined shrimp. Never cook with cooked shrimp. Do not buy cooked shrimp. You want it raw? We're going to add that in. That only takes a couple minutes to cook, so give it a stir. And when that shrimp cooks through, I'm going to adjust the seasoning with some cayenne and salt. If it needs it, you taste it. And then to finish, a few more green onions, and we're done. Okay, so how simple was that? Other than a little dicing, nothing to it. And if you don't think that looks great, I don't know what's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. Then it's time to serve. You're going to ladle this over, in my case, grits. Now, personally, and the reason I'm not calling this shrimp and grits, I think this is best over rice or mashed potatoes. That would be my choice. Why did I serve it over grits? Because my wife, Michelle, likes grits. So a little unsolicited advice for you newly married men. There's two ways to do things: the way your wife likes them and the wrong way. So I served this over grits, and it was fantastic. So there you go. Ham and shrimp gravy could not be simpler. Start to finish, about a half hour maybe, 40 minutes at the most. And you have a delicious, spicy, comforting, stick to your ribs type meal. So I hope you give this a try. All the ingredients are on foodwishes.com, as usual. And as always, enjoy.